conversations about, hey, are we going to get layoff? Is this the department? Is this going to be the day? So going through work and seeing people laid off, you can imagine that that can warp somebody's view of corporate life, especially early on.
So, what was the feeling like when you actually saw? I don't know if you had a chance to see the first person let go, but going through that emotional experience, what was going through your mind?
And it still stings today. So I was working in internal audit, and a gentleman, he kind of, took me under his wing. It was another brother. We were real close, and he'd come by my cube and say, "Hey, how you doing?" And I got to know him. I got to know his family. What he cared about, his progression. He'd been in the company for over a decade. He was well loved.
Mhm.
One day we showed up in the office one morning. We were escorted to a conference room, and they said, "Hey, we had to let this gentleman's apartment go." He didn't receive any notice. And in my mind, I was like, he had family. Like, how, if he did this much service, the next day you can walk up to him and say, hey, your services are no longer needed because we've made a corporate decision. That didn't sit well with me. And it allowed me to become even more conservative financially and focus more on, if that ever happened to me, I would be okay.
So, you think that when somebody is in that position and they don't have the financial secure to be able to waver through the storm, what what do you suggest them to do? Like how do they overcome that level of obstacle knowing that they have a family to feed? I'm not sure if you had a family at that time or if it was just yourself, but I'm assuming you come across clients that are in jobs that are extremely volatile and they may or may not have financial security in terms of like liquid assets, and yet if anything get disrupted, that could potentially affect them. Now granted, your practice is really truly focused on the healthcare. We're going to talk more about your practice later on, which is a little bit more defensive. But just overall, for those who gone through or is going through a turmoil, because 2020, right, when COVID happened, a lot of people lost their job, a lot of people didn't have savings. Like, how would you position someone to be able to weather through that storm?
Yeah, so as they say, sometimes the best defense is a really good offense. So the number one thing is just having three to 6 months worth of living expenses. I prefer, especially if you're in an income bracket, let's say you make over $120,000 per year, those jobs do not come around day in and day out. So if you make a high income, make sure you aim for at least a year's worth of living expenses in cash or short-term security. The second thing, and the thing that a lot of people don't focus on, is you should make sure that your skills are up to date and you are continually marketable. One of the things I have for my clients is I make sure that they update their resume every single year and say, hey, this is what I've done this year, and let me notate it, because when the time happens and you're laid off, it's really hard to update your resume when you're feeling depressed. The second thing I recommend my clients do is, even if you're not looking for a job, go ahead and apply for different jobs. See if you receive a call back. And I would go as far as go on the interview, because you may be surprised what they offer. So I think the best way is really, instead of being defensive, is be offensive, really thinking about your skill sets, being proactive in your I guess network, as far as networking with people who potentially could have jobs for you. Your career is not just go into the office, grind it out, and become a good employee. Your career is also making sure that you are employable towards the future. So you won't be like my friend at the paper manufacturing company, where he walks in the office one day and he's laid off, and now he has to look at his kids, his wife, and say, I don't know where the next dollar is coming from. And I think that's an important lesson that people don't talk about, and they don't talk about it in college, but it is a real part of life. There will be a time in your life where you're not working, and how you manage that will determine a lot about your trajectory of your career.
That's crazy because like when you go through that level of experience, it's one thing to hear it, but actually experiencing it is a different level, right? And not too many people, especially advisors now, actually taking that step to say, hey, look, yeah, I'm managing your money, but let's figure out ways to make sure that we secure the money that's coming in, right? Let's figure out ways continuously updating your level of skill set to be able to stay up to date in terms of like changes. with technology, or if it changes in the industry. Um, so that is extremely important. And I think that makes you very unique. I think so, because I don't hear that often. So kudos to you.
Yeah, when I network with different advisors, I'm surprised that they don't touch these things. But these things are a little sticky. It's a little icky. It's soft. It's personal. It's easy to say, "Hey, you received an 8% return this year. Congratulations. Go buy yourself a new Mercedes Benz." But I want people not only to have a lot of money, and a lot of my clients do have a lot of money. I want them to enjoy their money. Even smile if they receive a layoff because they know that an opportunity is coming across the other side. And that goes with other life events that could happen in your life. And to me, that's really just enjoying life. And I don't want to grow wealth, like I said. Can I help you enjoy the life that you live? Because if you enjoy the life that you live, I'm hoping that you'll be a better person as a result of it. And I hope those results will make a better society so I can actually leave an imprint larger than just how I was able to invest the client's money. If you've been inspired to leverage your practice to create financial freedom, please schedule a consultation with Diesel Wealth Management. The legacy you dreamed of is a 15-minute phone call away from becoming a reality.
The more I know, the more money I can make.